What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. Yeah. Right. What am I doing today? Right. Today and tomorrow. Today's Friday and I've only got a little bit of time I can put into this today. But today and tomorrow, Steve-O's not down. So, I'm going to get a TIG welder out and finish off this tank. Because he's doing my headed. Let me show you what I'm going to be doing. What we've got is, where are you? Okay. So this little piece here is held in with a magnet at the minute, but it fills the gap in between the tank and the seat frame. Just without it, there's a big horrible gap there and I just don't like it. So I'm mucking about with shapes and stuff at the minute, trying to get it right. I think something like that I'll probably do, because this will sort of follow the line of the tank down here, then I can just extend the bottom piece down. And on the other side we've got the catch of awesomeness. It's got a big old gap back there, and I just want to fill that in. It's only going to be a little piece like that. That's all it is. It's not going to go all the way around the back of the tank, there's no point. But I do need to get those fixed. So that is what I'm going to be having a stab at today. I've just given this a bit of a shine up on the wire wheel. It's just a dolly that I welded to a piece of bar just so I can shove it in the vise. And I just want to get that that piece of metal shaped up properly. So it's a nice fit. Where are we? There we go. So it's a nice fit, and then I can have a go at tigging it in place. Can you hear the rain again? This is like the third storm in what, as many weeks. George, this one's called. And I've got a leaky roof and it's leaking right on top of the bike, which is really annoying because this is pretty much the only place I can put it. So that's going to have to get sorted. So anyway, that fixes that one for the minute. As far as planishing hammers and dollies and stuff goes, before I use it, because it's raw steel basically, before I use them I tend to like to give them a brush up on the wire wheel just to get any surface rust or anything else like that on, and also try and get any little marks out of them. These hammers are cheap as chips. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? It's not even round. Where are we? It's not even round. But this is like a flat crown one, so I've just rounded off the edges, because if you don't hit it straight on sort of thing, you catch an edge, you just put a big old dink in it. So I've just rounded off the edges and give it a clean up. And I've done the same sort of thing on here, although I've not rounded the edges off so much, so they are quite square. But that's basically just a stamping machine. So if it ain't clean, every time you dink something, you're just going to stamp it with whatever's on it. That would not be good, but I think we're in. I think we're all right there. Okay, so I'm using TIG this time around instead of MIG. If you saw the earlier videos where we was like doing all the pocket in the bottom and everything else, I kept on just blowing holes in it. It's so thin, it's ridiculous. But the MIG is actually quite aggressive, so I'm not using that this time. But basically it's just a balancing act between wire feed and the amount of current that you're putting through it. So the wire that comes out, that's your electrode, essentially your positive electrode. And as it gets to the metal, it just arcs, causes a spark, that melts the metal, and you're just feeding the wire into it constantly. And that is quite aggressive. Once you've got it set, you can't change it. You can't change it on the fly. If it's wrong, you just have to stop, change the settings, and then have another go. And that was half the trouble really, because it's so flaming thin, and the speed with which the wire was coming out, even turned down right low with very little power, it's still just poking holes straight through it, which is a bit of a pain. So this time I'm going to use a TIG. I don't TIG as much as I would like to. I do want to get really, really good at that, because you see like the really good fellas on YouTube doing it, and all, you know, stack of pennies and all that stuff. That's what I want to be doing. I can stack it, but it don't look absolutely machine perfect like they do it. But the good thing about that is that you can, I've got a foot pedal on it, and even if you haven't got a foot pedal on it, you can just come off and on the switch to, you know, put the power on or off and kind of calm everything down a little bit if it's too hot. But with a pedal, you can control the amount of amps that you're putting into it, and because you're holding the filler wire in your hand, you can say when you want to add it and how much and where and all that sort of stuff. So we're going to go have a go with the TIG. And hopefully it's going to be all right. I'm probably going to do it up here actually, just because it's a bit higher. I want to do it up here. What'll burn? Most things, I suppose. Oh well, safety third. Right. Right, so here's the tank. And there's my little doohickey thing. I'll see if I can get a picture of this and show you, but it is painfully thin. You can, I don't know if you can see it here. Can you see it there? Where are you? I'll try and do the zoomy in thing. The bottom piece of this tank actually ain't too bad. The outer skin is so thin. It's like tin foil thin. I had to grind this down for the captive awesomeness. And it's at that point that you get to see quite how thin it is. We've probably got a hole there anyway. Or it's probably going to leak. This whole thing is going to need to be pressure tested once I've finished playing about with it. But we're going to have to go easy. Because there's quite a lot of work gone into this so far, and I don't want to trash what I've already done. Because you just wouldn't. Right, so. With this bit, let's turn you around so you can see. Right. See, look, down here, there's little pinholes and stuff. That's not good. But anyway, this is going to go something like that. I reckon. So it's not a massive bit. Not a massive bit by any means. There is a little bit of a gap behind it, as you can see. So we're going to have to come in and fill all that bit as well. And I'm probably going to box it out sort of two sides. Yeah, something like that, I think. It needs a little bit of fussing though, just to get this bit right. Which is why I've got the hammer and dolly out again. Yeah. And the idea is, if I can get a line of welding there, if I can get a bead of welding here and build it up just a little bit proud, and the same down here, then I'll come in and grind it back flat again and dress it all up and make it look pretty. Because this is just going to be a brush metal finish. So I want it to look seamless. Can't use brazing rods or anything like that, which was one suggestion that I've had with the TIG torch. And that could be quite good actually, but you would get a different colour metal in there, which obviously we can't have if he's just going to brush it and lacquer it. So that's what we're doing. And hopefully I don't cock it up. Hopefully. But we shall see. The day is young. Not telling you what to do, not by a long shot, okay? But one tip I will give you is I find it easiest when doing this sort of stuff. It's quite important that you keep hitting it with the hammer flat so you know where the hammer is. However, if you hold it right at the end, then there's quite a tendency to catch either this edge or that edge, which is kind of why I round it off anyway. But if you shorten your grip and put your finger on the top of the hammer, it just kind of gives me a point of reference, so I know that it's always going down in the same way. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it, but that's what works for me, and I guess it's whatever works for people is what they're going to do. So there you go, top tip of the day. Right, so all I'm doing here is having a bit of a practice, because you have to with stuff like this. There's what I've been doing is I've been mucking about with the settings, and I've also been changing my sort of speed across the surface with the torch, and also how often I'm dabbing it and all the rest of it. I think we have a winner in this one, which is the last load of settings that I used. Thing is, when it's, you know, I've put a truckload of work into that tank already, I really don't want to cock it up. Really don't want to cock it up, because then I'd have to do it all again, and that would definitely put a dink in my day. So the only way really of getting weld settings that you're happy with and everything else is just to have a practice. You know, just an old bit of scrap or something or other that's the same thickness, and just have a go, see how it turns out. Let me show you what I've got here. That. There we go. So all I want to do is run a beader weld down so it sits proud. Can you hang on, that one there. That's all I'm trying to do. Okay, so as you can see, it's proud on the top, but if you flip it over and look underneath, they've also got quite a lot of penetration. There's quite a lot of material that's gone into the other side as well. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. There's no voids to it, so it's all nice and together. It didn't, you know, the heat from the torch, one thing I was worried about was because I'm having to go quite slow, even though I'm on low power, because my travel speed is quite slow, you're holding a hot torch in the same place for longer, so you're actually putting more heat into it sometimes. But this has turned out all right, I think. So it's proud top, it's proud bottom, it's nice and tight, there's no voids. That'll do, I think. That's what we're going to have a crack at. So I'm going to leave the settings where they are. Apart from I will turn yes, my foot pedal just so I've got a little bit more range of movement. But that's how we're going to go with it. That'll be all right. Right, so we've got the first couple of pieces tacked in. So there's a backing piece that just extends the tank down, and then there's the outer skin. This is literally just tacked on, as you can see. Nothing major going on there yet. All I want to do is to get all the pieces in place, so I know it all fits up right and everything else, and then I can go around welding it, dress it up and make it look pretty. So easy way of getting this bit is grubby finger. Yeah. Ah, sweet. Right, let's chop this out. I'll do it a little bit oversized. Make sure it goes on, and then we'll chop this out of steel. Right, he's all cut out now. Happy days. It is a little bit big, but that's fine. The idea is that's going to go on like that. I'll tack that in place, and then once it's tacked, it's going to keep the side steady. And I can go around and sort of trim it up with the grinder, get it all to fit right, and then we've just got this end bit to sort out. Pom, 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 pom. I might even just tack that on with a MIG. It's just going to be easier, isn't it? Yeah, let's do that. There we go. Right, one thing I will say is some of these bits that I'm sticking on here are tiny. I mean, they are really, really, really small. Like this bit on the end, for example. You know, a 10p piece is bigger. And what I tend to find is that if you cut it exactly to shape and to size and then start tacking it, there's a higher chance that you're going to start blowing corners and that sort of stuff out, purely because the piece of metal you're working with is really, really small. So there's not a lot of metal to sort of soak up all the heat. So whenever I'm doing stuff like this, I found the best way to do it is to do it big, get it tacked on, and then just chop it off and grind it down and get it down to the size that you want. And that way you don't damage it, you don't blow the corners out and put holes in it and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't warp as much either, purely because there's more metal there to act as a heat sink. So, final piece. What I am going to do in here, I'm going to drill some holes in his tank. Oh, he's going to hate you for doing this. All this is going to get seam welded anyway, so it's all going to be totally watertight. No fuel's going to come out of it, hopefully. But where I'm welding, obviously with a hot weld, it oxidises it and you instantly get rust in there, like instantly. And it's just the oxidisation. Well, we're going to be putting a tank liner in this, so I'm going to put a couple of holes in here. And then I'm going to seal it up with this and weld it all round and everything else, knowing that it's going to oxidise on the inside and there is going to be rust in there. But if I've got some holes in here, then when we come to do the clean out of the inside of the tank and then we tank line it, tank line is going to get inside here and cover it all, and that's going to stop it rotting out. I was going to use weld through primer, but I don't know, I'm not a big fan of it. It has to be said. And apart from that, you can't see what's going on in there. You can't see where you've been welding and grinding and everything else, how much that has affected it. So I don't really like using weld through primer, whereas, you know, put a couple of holes in there and let the tank liner get in. I reckon we'll be all right there. So that's the next job, a couple of holes in his tank. Won't take long, it's dead thin. Right, I'm about to have a massive sense of humour failure. Proper sense of humour failure. Oh! Right, the trouble that I've got is, you remember ground it down here to get around the catch of awesomeness. This piece of the tank is 1 mil thick. this piece of the tank, the outside skin, where it comes down here, 0.2 of a millimetre, nearly 0.2 of a millimetre thick. It is just stupid, crazy thin. And the trouble is, well, it's not even the welding, I can weld it. I found some settings where I can weld to that, believe it or not, that thin with the TIG welder. I can get a puddle going and I can get the filler rod going in, and as long as you move quite quickly and you're quite careful and quite precisely what you're doing, you can lay a weld down. And it's going all the way through and it's bonding to the back. I know that because I've got an endoscope which you can hook on the phone, shove it down inside the tank, and you can see what's going on with your weld basically. It's dead good, and it costs like 20 quid. It's really cool. The trouble that I've got is the grinding it back to get rid of the weld on the outside, because you start grinding the weld down and that's all fine, going over that, not a problem. But then when it comes down to, say you're kind of going flat across the weld and the tank, you're taking material off this and it's thinning it out, and I've put a few holes in it just with the grinding, and that's with like a 120 grit little DA. You're grinding away and it's all nice and shiny metal and everything else, and all of a sudden you get this bright blue purpley sort of patch, and that's because the metal's so thin it's heating up just with the heat of this. It's about to go through, and you touch it and suddenly a hole appears, and then you've got something else that you've got to fix. So I can weld stupidly thin metal, I can't grind it though. I can't dress it back because I'm going to end up taking metal off here, and there's just bugger all to it. I'll tell you, I am this close to taking this and just deep sixing it. The River Plym runs across the back of the yard. I reckon if I try hard enough I could launch this and make a splash. Oh, bloody hell. What am I going to do? I ain't going to be able to get it smooth enough. Not if he wants to have just a brushed finish. That ain't going to happen. I can't do it. A better man probably could, but that ain't me. And it's annoying because I thought it would be the welding that would be awkward, because I ain't TIG welded in a while, and unless you do it all the time, you do sort of lose the feel for it. But no, all that came back. That was easy. That was fine. Ran a few practice beads and stuff, and I thought, well, yeah, we're in here. Did my first load of welds and everything else. Covered the whole lot up, fine. Then went to grind it and just put big bloody holes in it. So what am I going to do? We ain't going to have a brushed metal finish. I need to speak to Steve-O. I need to speak to Steve-O. I think what we should do is paint the tank. But it's his bike, so it's his call. And I know he had his heart set on a brushed metal finish, which comes with its own challenges, if I'm honest. But this ain't going to be good enough. Not at all. Right, I've spoken with Steve-O. We're painting it. Oh! I thought he was going to go potty, but he didn't. Explain what was going on. Explain the troubles that I'm having. He was like, oh, we'll just paint it then. Easy as that. And he is right. It's the right call to make, I think. A better man could do it, but I don't know him. And it just makes sense. We can crack on and get stuff done. It's probably going to paint it silver, because he quite likes the idea of silver and brown, which I get. I think that's going to work quite well. But what it means is that I can get these little extensions tigged on, grind them down as best I can, and then we'll just have to body filler the little creases and nicks and all that sort of stuff, which I can do. That'll be fine. We'll just give it a real thin skim of filler, because I'll try and keep it as little as possible, and then we just rub it all down, prime it, paint it, job's a good one. So that's what we're doing. So I think we're all right on this side. I'm going to go to town on this bit now. And there's something in the tank. Can you hear that? I don't know what it is. We did haul a washer out of it. Or no, it was a drawing pin. But yeah, something else is in there now. Right. It's got the tiniest little tacks. This whole thing moves. Essentially, I've just cut a piece out just so I can try and get it in place. That'll do. That one's just down as well. Got a little bit of room for filler, which is cool. Here we go. Right. So now we just got to box in this little bit, box it in the same as this side, and then I'll dress it up, and then we'll get some filler on it and sort it all out. So probably do the inside bit next. Right, okay. Everything's welded up. Everything should, hopefully be good. So now we just got to try it. All I'm doing is I've duct taped over the petcock. Basically cleaned it down with acetone just so I get a nice good seal. Loads of duct tape over this hole, and I'm hoping this is gonna hold. I'm hoping. It's hard to find out, eh? Right, so this is just water, very cold water. Let's see how we get on. Right, we have one hole on this side. That's annoying. Aha! We have success. I have had to put a big old blob of weld on there though. We're going to have to dress all this up with the filler, which I didn't really want to have to do, but I ain't got a choice. Got to do what we got to do. Right, I'm not sure you can see in here. This is the inside of the tank, and as you can see there's rust in it, which is not a good thing. There you go, that's a bit better. It's not massive amounts, it is just flash rusting, but it's rust. If we go into all this trouble with the bike, then I really don't want to have it rusty anywhere. So all that needs to go. Right, so all that rust needs to go. I'm not having it. Spent all this time, I'm not having a rusty tank inside or outside, and we are going to be putting a tank liner in this. That's the next job. Steve-O's down at the weekend, so we're going to start it then. But in order to do that, I need to get all the rust gone. Just why wouldn't you? So I was mucking about on YouTube, having a look for different ways of getting this done, and there's all sorts of different things you could do. But I'm going to try Trev's blog's way. If you haven't seen Trev's blogs, he's really good at, you know, panel work and metal work and all that sort of stuff. He does like car restorations, and he's fixed up this van as a catering truck type thing. And this is one of the tricks that he used. So I just wanted to give it a go, see if it works. So we've got a bucket of clean water in a mucky bucket. And we are going to be using a fish tank pump. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Oh, here we go. Right, an aquarium heater, some screen wash. Oh God, here we go. Right, and this stuff, pure food grade fine crystals, citric acid, 2 kilo bag, yours for £9.86 on eBay. No, he did this thing, he had like loads of hinges and various other bits and pieces. And they were rusty as hell, and he did this and it worked a treat. So all we're going to do is make up a solution of these citric acid crystals with a splosh of this just to break the water tension. We're going to hoof it all into that big tub that you've seen with the water in. Warm it up with a heater, keep it moving with the pump. He didn't have to actually have the pump. I think it might be a good idea, so I'm going to give that a go. And 24 hours later, it's all lovely, apparently. But we shall see, we shall see. So, first thing is figure out how much water I've got in the bucket. So that's easy enough. It's just width, height, length, all done in centimetres. Multiply one by the other, that gives you cubic centimetres. A little bit of math later. We've got 90 litres in that bucket, which is, you know, it's 90 litres, fair enough. It's actually quite a weak solution that you use. For every, hang on, let's get this right. So for every 1 litre of water, oh hang on, is it 1 litre of, I need to check this. Sorry about that. Right, so according to Trev, it's 10 grams of this for every litre that we've got of water. So that's easy enough. Right, where's my scissors? Turn him on. So, 900 grams, here we go. Got 900 grams of citric acid, and it's cloudy as hell, so let's give it a stir. That'll do. It's rusty, but it doesn't matter. Right, and apparently you get a splosh of screen wash in there as well, which is just to help break the surface tension of the water. Which I get, that sort of makes sense. Don't need much. And the idea is that you just let it soak in this. Now he literally did just let it soak, but basically the aquarium heater is just to keep the water warm. It is really chilly in here, as you know, I've been saying it for ages. But apparently this is just going to help things on its way, which is fine, it seems to make sense. And the pump, literally I just want to keep the solution moving about. He did just plonk it in and leave it there. But I reckon if it's moving around, it ain't going to hurt, is it? So that's what we're going to do. And what I'll probably do is shove a hose on one end and stick it in the neck. So it kind of forces it, you know, in and around and all the rest of it. So take water from outside the tank, force it in through the neck. Some's going to come out the petcock hole, and some will come out the filler hole, but either way it's going to be moving, and you keep replacing solution from outside the tank. So, you know, that's what we're doing. Well, it's still rusty. Right, so here we've got a pump. It's a 600 litres per, oh, where are you? Okay, so we've got a pump, 600 litres an hour, which isn't a massive amount, but it's, you know, it's moving the water. You can see bubbles and bits and, I don't know, can you see this? You can see stuff kind of being forced around in there, which is all good. So 600 litres an hour, I've just cut up a piece of hose pipe, shoved that in the filler neck of the tank, just so I can kind of keep the solution moving about inside the tank, because I don't want it just to sit and, you know, all that malarkey. And then we've got the heater down here as well. The heater is on, you can see the little light. Oh, hello. 300 watt heater. I mean, the water is absolutely Baltic. It really, really is cold in here. So you can imagine how cold that water is. My hands have gone blue where I was dunking the tank. So anyway, that's the setup. The whole thing is submersed. I've got all the air out of it that I can do. There is probably a tiny little bit of air trapped in this piece, but I ain't too fussed about that. So all we're going to do is stick the lid on it. Where did I put the lid? Here we go. So we're just going to stick the lid on it to at least try and keep some of the heat in. It ain't going to be a great fit because it's bowing out because of all the water. Oh, come on. Right, there we go. Right, so the lid is on. Whether it stays on, I don't know. We're just going to see how it does. I quite like it just because it's citric acid. You know, it's about, you know, it's as simple as it gets, really. It's a very mild acid as well, so it's not going to be massively aggressive. And, you know, we'll see how it does. I don't know. Hopefully it'll be all right. Right, that is it then. The tank is sealed. I'm not really happy with, well, no, there's a couple of things I'm not happy with. One is all the grief that I had with the welding it up and grinding it back. That I didn't even think the grinding would be an issue, but it was. It was a big issue actually. So where I've had to go through spotting it and stuff to make sure there's no leaks and, you know, petrol's going to stay where we put it. Yeah, it needs dressing up and stuff. It really does. The good news is though that the little corners is, you know, where the tank comes down on that little lip, that's where it had the pinholes. So that's where I've had to spot it. But that's also where the body filler is going to go. It ain't going to be much, but rather than grinding it all down and, you know, run the risk of putting another hole in that I've got to fix as well, and having it creeping up the tank, which is the other thing that was happening, I can body fill over that because it ain't going to take much filler to get it done. And it also means I can dress up that lip so it's all nice and neat when it all gets painted. So, you know, it is what it is. There's nothing I could do about it, apart from the best I can. So I'm just, it is good enough. It's holding fuel. There's no leaks in it. I've had it in and out of that tank testing it so many times, I almost feel the need to shake it all about now. We have had a special delivery. His grips have turned up. So this is the sort of brown that he's going for. He ain't seen them yet. He only saw a picture on eBay. He just had them delivered here. So I'll send him a snap and you can see what's what. But this also means that I can give the seat unit, you know, the seat pan and the grips to Dawn, the crafty cow, and she can sort the seat out for us. So it is progress. So he'll get to see those at the weekend and he can have a chat with Dawn and get stuff going. But that's it, that's where I'm leaving it this week. Sorry it's been a little bit of a dipping in and out and lots of the same sort of stuff. It's been a pain of a job getting this bloody tank done. I'm glad it's done, but it was just a pain doing it. But like I say, it's done now, so all's good. And even better, the rain has stopped. Storm George has done one. Anyway, that's where I'm leaving it today. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you again next time. Hopefully in wide angle. Later.